Bearcat Bounce Podcast. Back at it again. Happy Monday, guys. Happy Labor Day Monday. Labor Day weekend show Monday. Shouts to Jimmy Buffett. Condolences there. But the Monday following a successful opening week for the Bearcat football team. Coach Scott Satterfield hit on literally all cylinders. Emory Jones turning faces left and right. The wide receivers, the defense, the running backs. It's all big time, man. EKU, though, we'll dive completely into that. And happy Monday also following a huge visit day for both football and basketball. We'll dive in a little bit on that. And also a Monday, of course, where I get to bring in my guys. We are full strength today on this Labor Day Monday night pod. That's right. Without further ado, my guys, Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, Ryan Royer. Gentlemen, 1-0. How are we?
I was sick all weekend, so I didn't even get to go to the game.
Oh,
I had a fever.
Yes, you did.
And the only prescription was a Bearcats win. So
only prescription was more Emory Jones passing touchdowns, right?
But in all seriousness, I felt like dog shit all weekend.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to be feeling a little bit better here today.
You look terrible if that makes you feel any better.
I mean, I'm not 100%.
I think you look cleaned up. This is going to be your flu game. You know, the Aaron Smith flu game. It's going to be a big one out of you tonight. I feel
Whatever you say.
I feel it. Royer, how are we, sir?
Good. I was up at Lake Erie. Had a nice little last boating weekend. Went up with the girlfriend and her family. It was fun. Just got back today. Had to get back for the show, you know.
Hey, man.
Got to watch the game. Got to watch a lot of college football. Man, it just feels like you're a kid again. Just getting to watch all the football. I haven't felt this excited just for football in general in a while. I don't know.
Right.
Just feels when you are away from the game for 2 years, kind of. Now you really have something to look forward to, especially with the Bearcats. Bearcats being back, a lot of excitement, a lot of uneasiness, and I think some of that was slightly put to rest Saturday. So I'm excited to talk about it,
or at least started to put to rest, right? But
not out of the woods yet, man.
Right. I tell you what, this offseason for football felt like it was longer than most off seasons. I don't know what it was. It just felt like it took forever. And now that it's back, I find myself really struggling to control my composure. But I mean, even yesterday, dude, just having games all throughout the day. Got to see old Ben Bryant, sadly, and didn't pull that one out. But still,
they're bad.
They are not very good at all. Gavin Wimsatt, a big former Bearcat recruit, but still, they're bad. But Chad, how are we, man?
I'm good. I was waiting on Kelsey to get done making a smoothie in the other room. She decided, right as soon as we hit record, was
fire up the blender.
Where you got strawberry banana, strawberry pineapple.
Strawberry banana with yogurt and orange juice and protein powder.
There you go. Strawberry banana, orange juice,
at first.
protein powder, and
pierogi powder in there.
Yeah, pierogi powder. She doesn't know what pierogies are, so
no Polish in your family, huh? Come on now.
No, I haven't done pierogies.
Okay.
Pierogies are delicious. I just haven't ever done them.
That Ripple wine bar over in Kentucky, great food, by the way, but the pierogies are really good. Shrimp and grits, one of my favorite dishes I've had in the city. It was really good.
No free ads. No free ads.
Shout out Ripple, man. They're on the other side of the river, though.
Yeah.
The right side. God's country.
Hey now. Golly days. Yeah, talking about it, sometimes you get over the river, you have to drive on one of the bridges, obviously. And gosh, could you imagine wanting to go to Ripple, wanting to eat the shrimp and grits, wanting to have some tasty pierogies, and you go to start the car and it's got a little bit of a putter to it, a little not really giving you what you want. Guess what? Head over to Danco Joe. Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Get the quick fix. Get yourself revved up. Get the change. Go to Danco, Joe, before you head out to Pittsburgh for this upcoming game this weekend. Go to Danco, Joe. Tell them that Chad, Aaron, Ryan sent you. Mention the BBP. Mention BCJ. Get yourself 10% off your next service or $10 off an oil change. So I tell you what, Danco Joe is the man. Gotta love him. Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Boom. But yeah, man. Speaking
I already
of
had to put Ed into timeout 3 minutes into the show.
what's
What
Ed
did
saying?
he do?
He just
Apparently,
he won't shut up about Deion Sanders. Like, go to a Colorado podcast. Go away.
He's banned every week, I think.
I mean, hey, that's what the rest of the
Doing.
college football world is talking about. It's funny. All these other podcasts and shows and stuff open up. They're like, yes, we are going to talk about it. And it is being the Colorado game. So, sure, Ed, I'm sure we'll probably get to that later, but
Probably not.
I don't have anything to say about it.
I mean, just a light touch. It's Big
I
12.
like it.
It's Big 12 talk.
It's good for the game.
It's Big 12 talk.
Yeah, but it doesn't have anything to do with this podcast.
Kept receipts. But anyway, one thing that was a well-oiled machine.
We can put you in timeout too.
I mean, that's a content producer for those national shows. But like I said, this is a well-oiled machine that we were able to witness a vehicle, high velocity vehicle that looked like it had just gotten out of Danco Transmission and Auto Care and had all the fixings, got 10% off all of it, and then said, you know what, I don't need the 10% because we're going to go put on an absolute show inside of a packed Nippert Stadium. 66 points for the Bearcats this past weekend. Only 13 for EKU, so that is a what we call a blowout, drubbing, a manhandling, if you will. Most points scored by a Bearcats team since 2013 against Northwestern State. Ironically, was year one for Coach Tommy Tuberville, so something about the year ones of coming out and putting on a show against a lesser opponent. Cincinnati right now, 5th in the country in total yards, total offense this past weekend, 667 total yards. Shouts to Barry Jackson to put them up to that crazy amount. Before we continue diving, I got to say, I called him the lunch lady today. Everybody was eating. That is a quote from Xavier Henderson about Emory Jones. Man, the quarterback was something special. Aaron, you have yet been able to talk about the game. You were able to watch the game, even though you were feeling a little sick. Just initial takeaway, initial thoughts on everything, and obviously we'll break it down more nuts and bolts after that.
I'd like to say that I feel like I was pretty spot on with my assessment of Xavier Henderson in saying that he was going to be Emory Jones's comfort blanket, because initially that's exactly how it looked. Yep. And then Emory Jones looked like he felt comfortable, and he spread the ball around to everyone.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So it also doesn't hurt that Emory Jones separates from everybody at the end of his route and was wide open for a deep touchdown to just set the tone for the entire day.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Chad, you kind of mentioned a little bit in the nightcap that 4th and 5. Someone
changed
would say,
everything.
Yeah,
it set the tone for everything.
Someone would say a previous regime might have sent out the best punter in the country and pinned him deep and then just let the defense go out. But then guess what happens after that? You might only score 7 points in the first quarter, or you might you might get 10, maybe 14. But no, they go for it.
It absolutely set the tone for everything that happened after. I mean, like if you look back at that first drive, like Kiner had a couple of short runs, like 1-2 yard runs, where they had to kind of pick things up on third down to get the ball moving.
Right.
And then I believe you had a penalty that pushed them back a little bit. And then you get to that 4th and 5, and it's easy right there to just send out the punt team. Midfield, 4th and 5, early in the game. Not only did they go for it, but they go over the top.
Yeah.
And I mean, the thing about that route that was fun for me and that perspective in that end zone watching it, as you could tell when Xavier Henderson like spotted it, he realized I better get moving. Like I got to go get this one. and he hit the gas and dropped it right in the bucket. I mean, it was a thing of perfection. And all of a sudden, then you could see the confidence just skyrocketed from everybody. Like, oh, they can't guard us. Like they can't stop us. Like, let's go.
Ryan, were you about to add something in there?
I was just saying there was no hesitation, which I love because that makes you know they had to have known going into the game, like, we are going for it on fourth down and on plus side, like plus 40 and in, and as long as it's a reasonable distance. So I kind of like that aggressiveness kind of written into the game plan.
Yeah.
And not only that, but they're saying, like, we're not going to cut some plays out of the playbook. If we want to hit a deep ball, we're going to go for it. And it was perfectly executed. Like I said, I agree with you guys saying the confidence kind of skyrocketing from there. You definitely felt kind of like that. Like, yeah, we got this. Like, Emory was dialed up. He was ready to go. I love the call. I love the kind of little coyones from Satterfield start the game. So
yeah,
I was really impressed.
Yeah, I mean, it like Chad said, like you said, it did set the tone, and it told the team truly, like, hey, let's go out here and just show what we've done. And that connection is something that we're going to see a lot more. Shouts to Aaron. He was the one that was kind of all over that, really dubbing Xavier Henderson as the wideout to watch. But still, I mean, the ball was spread around a lot. What was it? 6 different wide receivers hauled in a touchdown or tight end as well. So it's big time. That's spreading the wealth. That's keeping everyone quote unquote happy. That's really having a high functioning offense, and the offense in general is just so refreshing to see. The pre-snap motions to kind of see what the defense is set with. You've got wide receivers in the backfield, and you've got option plays with wide receivers. You've got numerous different running backs. The first 3 series had 3 different running backs, one right after the other. Obviously, Corey Kiner ended up being the quote-unquote bell cow, if you will, 13 total carries, 105 yards, 1 off from his career high. Was really hoping that he would be able to eclipse the career high, but he did not. But yeah, it just everything was really, really flowing well. But we got to talk about Emory. Obviously, first game, you playing against an FCS team, I guess grain of salt is something to mention. But he's a guy that had only 4 incompletions. He had tied the record.
If he holds the ball 1 second longer on that Evan Prater across the back of the end zone, it's a touchdown.
Right.
Like, he just had to wait 1 more second for Evan to clear the linebacker, and it's an easy throw for a touchdown.
Yeah. I mean, he had, of course, as we mentioned, it was 7 total touchdowns. That's ties the school record for most total touchdowns in a single game. 345 passing yards, which puts him, I believe it is 7th in the country in yards per game. Obviously, there've been some teams that have played 2 games. He had 9 carries for 26 yards, lost 10 yards on sacks, so he had 36 roughly, but obviously the sack yardage comes out, and then 2 rushing touchdowns, and the one was an absolute Houdini of a touchdown where he just felt the pressure, was able to escape, and got into the end zone. And that's something refreshing to have on the team. That's
a difference maker.
Yeah,
that's a game breaking, game winning type of difference, in my opinion.
Yeah,
that I don't mean to butt in. I just think it's a good time. I was telling you guys before we started that Emory is way more dynamic in the pocket, running with the ball than Dez was, and that's saying something because Dez was a big threat for us on offense, scrambling, but never did we see Dez doing spin moves. Did we see Dez stopping on a dime while scrambling 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage and then find his way into the end zone? And I thought Emory was throwing the ball better than Dez was too. I mean, granted, like, not a lot of pressure. I think EKU's secondary was horrific.
Which is weird because they have mostly the same secondary that was good last year.
Yeah.
I just don't think. Look, I don't think you realize until you see it up close. This receiving core is big and fast.
Yeah.
Like you're
They
not
also had some
dealing with
miscues back there. I mean, whenever a
Yeah.
guy's like multiple times, you have a guy
just wide open.
who's 20 yards open. That's just bad
Communication.
execution. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but they were open, and Emory was throwing them open. Emory was intermediate. He was the 12 to 15. He was the right on the money on the out routes, right at the sticks. He was throwing on the move. He was hitting the deep ball. I mean, literally everything. It was a just perfect performance. It was textbook what you want from your quarterback, and I'm excited for that momentum heading into Pitt. I think that's exactly what he needed to get going on the right step here, being a Bearcat.
Nothing against Ben Bryant. Obviously, he was great for Cincinnati during his time here. But I think in today's college game, you have to have a dual threat quarterback. It's an absolute game changer. When things break down, having the ability to create, having the ability to get out of the pocket, having the ability to run the football. It's just a weapon that you watch all the college games throughout the entire weekend, and the teams that look like they know what they're doing the best do have a quarterback with a dual threat ability, and it just adds so much ripples to what the offense can do. And I mean, Emory looked comfortable, and I think there was like maybe one designed run for him, but outside of that, it was everything was kind of in the flow of things, and no one's open. Let's go. Had the QB sneak, obviously. Shouts to Jason Kelsey on that. That resulted in a touchdown. But yeah, I agree. Emory he looked every bit as good as the ceiling talk that we were mentioning before. I mean, it was quite impressive to watch, and he's 4th in the country in QBR right now. Just simply looking great. Chad, thoughts anymore on Emory? Is it what you had been seeing all throughout fall camp? Was Emory just building that connection with all the wide receivers? And
yeah, I mean, we talked about it. Like, I really thought there was only 2 days where I didn't think he was good.
Right.
Like there were varying levels of good, but there was a day where it rained pretty much the entire practice, and there were the ball was just going through guys' hands. They didn't handle the slickness of the football real well.
Yeah.
And then there was a day he was off, but the other 12 days or whatever it was that we were there, he looked pretty locked in. There was the occasional missed throw, but it's practice. You're not
Right.
You're not going to hit every throw.
Yeah.
When you're throwing 200 balls of practice or whatever.
True.
But you could tell he was in rhythm. You could tell he was building with each of these different guys. And you could tell, I mean, that was the first 10 days of camp. Every day we talked about, wait, these wide receivers aren't like, this isn't a stopgap group until they get their guys in here.
Right.
And then I want to get this in now early. Like, I put it at the top of Brendel's Bites. Jack, Zach, Cass, the entire recruiting department.
Yeah.
Carter, like, incredible work.
Shouts.
So that the holes were filled. Like, and that's, we've talked about this a lot with basketball, but it applies here too. They didn't go out and get middle of the roster guys, bottom of the roster guys. They went out and got top of the roster guys at positions that they desperately, if they didn't get top of the roster guys, they weren't going to be able to move the football.
Right.
Like they weren't going to be able to make plays. And when you look at it, like, they look like Power 5, size, speed, hands, high level, like wide receiver types. And guess what? That makes life a hell of a lot easier for Emory Jones. We didn't even see Shimon Mateer. I don't know that he got targeted. And we thought, if you go back to spring, it was like, well, they're going to have to throw the ball to Shimon like 15 times a game, or they're not going to be able to do anything. But in terms of evaluation, identification on who you could have some traction with, going out, getting these guys on campus, getting them in the system and bought in, like, I just think the I guess it's still called the recruiting department, but for me, it is now the talent acquisition department.
Yeah,
because it's not just recruiting anymore. You're not just going out and finding out like, oh, whose mom likes Cincinnati? Like, no, you're going out and figuring out how much is it going to cost, how are they going to fit, what was their personality like at their previous school. Like you're dealing with NFL free agency type stuff, and from all appearances, from the start of camp through Saturday, they have absolutely destroyed Dan Greshik and Jordan Young and all the wide receivers and Emory Jones and Luke Kandra. Like, they went out and did work. Yeah. And I think that needs to be recognized and applauded above and beyond all the stuff that we're talking about with the players.
Absolutely. I mean, you can just see the evidence is there that, these guys not only were brought in, but they immediately bought in. And you hear Braden Smith talk to Dan Horde about how, he loves the coaching staff and he was going to follow, Coach Sat no matter what immediately after he moved on. You see Xavier Henderson mention how everyone in the locker room has this feeling, this unity feeling. They're all in. They're all trying to figure out how to succeed together, and they're all bought in. I mean, it's just I said it earlier, maybe a couple months ago, but there are some high level prospects that are on the team right now, coming out of high school that were highly rated, and that a lot of the big name schools are all after. There's a thing in baseball, and Chad, you know this, Aaron, you know this, Ryan. I don't know how much of a baseball fan you are. Yeah, you're a big baseball fan, but it's the post hype prospects. The guys who come out and they might struggle a little bit out of the gates, or there might be some adversity here or there, but then all of a sudden they get in a good situation and a good atmosphere, and they are able to show their talent that they have. I mean, Xavier Henderson is example 1A. I know it's just been one game, but he seems like he's very comfortable, very confident. I mean, the way he catches the football, I was trying to think of a way to say it, but he just snatches it out of the air. It's impressive, and you just see the talent.
Got the man hands.
Got the man hands, man. So I don't know. You put highly talented players on the team in a situation that's great with a coaching staff that believes in them and pushes them. I mean, it's a fun sight to see. I don't know. It's obviously Pitt will be a lot telling, but Vegas put the spread for the EKU game 21.5. So the feeling was still unknown. The feeling was still a little down. Feeling was still 13th in the Big 12, over under 5.5 wins. 21.5. They obliterated that spread.
Yeah. I guess 29.5. Like,
yeah. Right. I mean, I don't think there's probably another game out there that obliterated the spread as much as Cincinnati did. I mean, you see these other teams putting up big stats, but those are all top 25 teams. Oregon, Kansas State, Oklahoma. Right. Yeah.
Ooh.
Those are all top 25 teams. This
Mr.
Cincinnati.
Gabriel.
Yeah. Ooh, he looks good. That whole he's the highest rated quarterback after in the Big 12 after week 1, but it is what it is. But yeah, I don't know. I just think the receivers are extremely impressive. Peyton Singletary, a touchdown. You mentioned, obviously Shaman, and Henderson in the press conference mentioned Shaman. He's like, we didn't really get to see Shaman out there yet. So it is extremely impressive. Aaron, anything?
One thing too, I like. One thing I didn't think we hit on with Emory that I think also kind of got opened up that I really like was like the speed option / triple option with the motion from a wide receiver. Mm-hmm. That is a great rendition to the run game and just the overall attack of the offense that we haven't seen. God, do you remember every time we tried to run speed option with Dez, what would happen?
Well, it was
the monstrosity. Yeah. But
the Army.
Yeah. Now we're running in with the slot wide receiver doing a triple. I love that because that's a whole nother thing. You know how much time you have to spend on with the defense to like replicate that in practice and game plan for it. Because, dude, the thing about the triple and the speed option, you see it with Navy, but they can't run it that style, which I like that style with our offense way more because more dynamic, more space. But you're just exposing these safeties and these DNs with positions they're not normally used to being in. And you're doing it with Emory Jones, Corey Kiner, and whichever one of our slot receivers they want to throw in there, which is not an easy task. So I really like that. Showing that on film for Pitt too and executing it well, I think that's going to be huge for our offense. I hope we utilize that next week because I think it's I think it can be, and I think it'll be a really big step forward for our offense and trying to get some extra yards next week.
Yeah.
Aaron Turner, I mean, like Braden Smith is kind of was supposed to be kind of the gadget guy. Mm-hmm. He's thrown a couple passes at Louisville and like he had that reputation of like he was going to kind of be the trick guy. And then all of a sudden they use him like as a traditional slot and Aaron Turner is everywhere. They're jet sweep, tossing him, jet sweeps and getting him outside of the sprint option. And he's always in mode. Like we saw more motion Saturday than we saw Ryan in 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, but if you don't count motioning the tight end across,
right? Like that was the only motion we ever got. Was like, okay, we're switching the strong side. The strong side's going from here to here, but receiver motion, slot motion, backed motion, like they do a lot of stuff pre-snap that makes defenses uncomfortable.
Yeah, and also bringing up, the option play that they had with Turner. I mean, just think about that. You put that on tape, like you mentioned for Pitt, and then you also now have the ability to run some sort of like a counter play with that motion. So all of a sudden they're thinking this is coming, and then all of a sudden Emory steps back and has an open receiver on the on the other side. You could just see how much Satterfield is just really locked in on just setting things up throughout the course of the game. It's very cool schematically seeing it. And maybe Emory's just the perfect quarterback that he's always wanted to have. And I mean, he ran it to perfection on Saturday.
Did you guys notice a change in the scheme really from Louisville? I feel like I didn't see a ton of straight up outside zone. At least not as much as I was expecting.
I wonder if I wondered that during the game. It was more actually they ran some outside zone with Miles when Miles was in. Yeah. I thought a lot of the Corey stuff was inside. So.
Yeah. And he did well with it. And then they had the speed option, like I was talking about. I guess you can kind of consider more lateral run. Did they run that option stuff at all at Louisville?
I don't think. Or did they run it with Braden?
They did, yeah. And then they also had the play where then they would pitch it to Braden and then he would step back and throw it. Yeah, so that was kind of where Braden got his pass attempts. But yeah, they ran it, but I think Turner's probably a gadget guy that they're like, this is pretty much a running back. We got to get the ball in his hands any way possible.
I mean, I said it the first day we saw him. He's built like a running back.
Yeah.
He plays slot receiver, but he is not built like a slot receiver. Like he doesn't look anything like Braden, Trey, a lot of the guys, like he has those like broader shoulders and like that kind of thicker upper body where he looks like a running back that just has great hands and runs great routes.
Yeah, he does. And I tell you what, I'm imagining what it would be like with Trey Tucker and Tyler Scott in the Satterfield offense, man. That would be, wow, that would be a lot of fun. Yeah. But, I also like the quick hitches that they run to the wide receivers, just getting the ball out to them in space, having them, make one guy miss and then turning the ball upfield. It just, I don't know. Emory was dialed in. We mentioned the Braden Smith touchdown. He was in that backfield for a while, just sitting in the pocket, and then all of a sudden turned over and saw a wide open Braden Smith and flung it over there, got hit pretty hard as he released it, but Braden Smith caught it, went upfield, and scored a touchdown. Man, it was about as good as a opening game on the offensive side that you can imagine. It's EKU.
O-line.
Yeah.
O-line looked good. And anytime they slipped up, Emory kind of bought them out. except for that one strip sack.
Yeah.
Kind of talking about his dynamic running in the pocket, but I mean, all those other throws, most of the time he had all the time to make the throw, and he just did.
Right.
So shout out the O-line, man. Getting some stuff figured out. Looked a lot better than last year.
I don't think my stance has changed. I feel really good about the interior of that line.
Mm-hmm.
The tackles, we're going to find out a lot more on Saturday at 6:30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say, that EKU's D-line is nowhere near the caliber of Pitt. Pitt kind of prides itself on defense and having good-ass D-linemen, a good front seven. And that's really going to get put to test coming up on a Saturday. Because, Narduzzi, he's a defensive guy, and he's going to have those guys. They always have a really solid front seven.
Yeah.
Then you'll kind of really see. So I'm a little nervous.
Yeah, that's their thing. Like, they get after you with their front seven. We'll get to plenty of Pitt, I'm sure, a little bit today, and then as we go through the week. But they're physical. Like, they want to hit you right in the face. Mm-hmm. They don't want to hit you in the mouth. They want to hit you in the face, the whole face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stemming from that Mark D'Antonio kind of psychopath football tree.
Yeah. Some of the stories that Nico says about that is pretty funny, but and funny you mentioned Pitt and defense. One of their leading tacklers this past weekend was former Cincinnati recruit Bengali Kamara. Chad, you remember that name? So it'll be fun kind of seeing who's out there, how they're going to do. Obviously, we'll touch on Pitt a little bit more, but I'm not quite ready to move on from the old Bearcat game against KU past weekend. Aaron, I'm gonna bring you back in running back wise. Obviously, Kiner getting his second, 100+ yard performance of his career. He looked good. He had a crazy hurdle that was wild,
unnecessary.
Yeah, Chad, I was thinking about asking, but I was like during the press conference, because I don't really ever ask questions, but I was like, wanted to ask him, hey, what are your thoughts? Like, what were you thinking when you did that hurdle? But I was like, maybe that would have come off as like I was like questioning it, but it was a impressive nonetheless. Maybe gain an extra yard or two, but as far as running backs are shaking out, Aaron, your thoughts, because it looks like it's that four-headed monster that we were mentioning heading into the year.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Montgomery, he did great catching the ball out of the backfield, probably more so than he did running, in my opinion.
Beautiful one-handed snag.
Beautiful. And definitely liked seeing some of that. Miles, as we said, is going to thrive in this offense. I think he averaged 6'2", 6'1" a carry.
It just Corey got hot, so they went to Corey a little bit more.
Right. Corey, as we talked about, does not have the home run capability that Miles has, and we saw him get a little gassed on that run, but it was still an impressive run nonetheless. But if he was able to put it into that next gear, that's 6. Instead, it just ended up being a fantastic run. Nothing wrong with that. It's just a difference. But yeah, I mean, you certainly have some different weapons, different style weapons at your disposal as your Scott Satterfield, and you have to be happy the way all of them showed. Even Ethan Wright getting out there and putting some stuff on tape. I mean, he didn't do anything that really I don't remember any of his runs, if I'm being completely honest at this point. Like, nothing stands off the page, but that's also not a bad thing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Ethan obviously he was in and out of practices during fall camp, but fully back healthy. I bet some defenses are going to hate to see Ethan Wright barreling through when it's third quarter, fourth quarter. They're starting to get tired, and there's Ethan Wright just lowering his shoulders and gaining tough yardage. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see because obviously Miles, we've mentioned it the entire offseason. Looks like he's got a little bit of that it factor, but man, Corey looked like he was fresh. Looks like he's ready to have a statement season as well.
Well, he did the thing that you have to do in this offense. Is he saw the hole, attacked it, and next thing you know, there's nobody around, and you're just running until they catch you, or if they catch you. Like, that's Royer could have hit that hole and gained 35 yards today.
Yeah. Sneaky
I was
fast.
standing right behind it. There was 5 yards. They were 5 yards clear of him on both sides.
Yeah.
And he just straight through it.
54 yards. That was a.
Yeah, that's not a knock on Corey. That's this offense. Like that's what this offense wants to do is create that one gap, the running back to identify it, explode through it, and run until you're caught.
Yeah. I mean, Corey's got some Mike Warren to him, and then Miles has a little bit of that drone forward to him. That year kind of, when it was Dokes and Ford, kind of.
I mean, that would have been a touchdown run if they handed it off to 26. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but wouldn't have been still on the field for that crazy hurdle. But Royer, it was an impressive game for Corey Kiner, who yet again an extremely highly rated prospect coming out of high school, and a guy who looks like he's ready to flourish in a system that he highly recruited by Louisville, loved Louisville, and now all of a sudden he's connected with Satterfield here in Cincy.
Yeah. To start the game, I was kind of like, damn, I just want more from Kiner. Like I'm still waiting on it to break out. And then you had Miles come in there and you kind of felt like that the dynamic ability kind of rise when you had him in the game. Mm-hmm. That I think Corey just reached that gear end of the first half, right in the second half of like, this is the Corey Kiner that we should expect. Yeah. And I think I talked to a lot of guys after the game today because I was like, I caught up with some of the guys after the game yesterday, and I was like, why? Like, that's kind of what I expected out of Corey. Like, where was that last year? Like,
the holes weren't there.
Hurt? Yeah. One, the holes weren't there. And two, I guess Corey just had a harder time with the playbook last year. Coming in, he was injured and just getting on the same page, like with the quarterback and his responsibilities. But I think having this off season where he wasn't injured, you had a whole another year to dive into the playbook, and he was kind of really to just go play and go be the type of player we all knew he was, what we saw of him at LSU. So I think this is just the beginning for him, kind of based on what I've seen, based on what I've been told from some of the guys, and that's great because if he gets tired, you got that same kind of pop, probably more speed kind of pop coming in behind him. On that run, I was like, damn, I kind of miss seeing a Jerome Ford back there because that would have been gonzo. But, I still thought Corey did a great job. And I'm really excited, especially the O-line kind of getting some things together. Hopefully that can progress.
And that was with Gavin kind of at half speed. Like, Radosevich played a lot at center.
Yeah.
So essentially you had 11 new starters for a good portion of the game.
Crazy, man. College football these days.
I'll let you guys deal with that.
Speaking of press conferences, this is from Daryl Sides. Speaking of press conferences, absolutely hilarious when Chad asked Sat if he lived under a rock.
Well, Roy, he went to the cliche bag. He went to the, one game that we play 1 game seasons and we drown out the outside noise.
The coach speak bag, yeah.
He went to the coach speak bag. So I thought that was a good time as any to find out what his, if he had occupancy under a rock somewhere. And he
Speaking
got it,
what?
I think. Luke always, I live under a rock. I live under a rock. I live under a rock.
Oh.
Like that was Luke's thing. So I was like, do you live under a rock? And he gave kind of a smile and he goes, I don't know what you're talking about. And just moved to the next question. So he got it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
You go, Chad.
The whole living under the rock thing was always hilarious because you just knew.
He always knew exactly what was going on.
Right.
Luke was Luke had his finger on everything. That notion always that I don't really know what's going on. I just pay attention to come into work every day, and I don't know anything about where we're rated or ranked or what people are saying about us. Fuck out of here, man.
Yeah,
Come on.
yeah. The college football playoff show every single week. He's like, "Oh, that was on tonight. I didn't even know." It's like, yeah.
The only thing he lived under a rock about, I firmly believe he didn't get on social media. Like, I don't think he really messed with
Yeah,
social media.
Yeah, he did it.
As we
He
saw,
used to tell me he would sit up and go through my timeline at night to laugh at me yelling at people.
as
Well,
as we
He was
saw
on social media
the
for
accounts are
sure.
handled.
then I'm
by someone
surprised.
that is still handling said accounts for.
Pretty sure Chad Bowden ran his Twitter and Instagram for
Well,
so long.
that's any post was from Chad for sure.
Yeah.
He seemed like a guy who needed to go to like Apple for classes on how to use his phone properly.
Yeah.
He
He
knew how
learned.
to
He
use
knew how to
Twitter.
use the watch. He was always like, the other.
Oh yeah.
He was doing something. I don't know what.
Oh, it's like my parents talk on their Apple Watch. It's like the thing out there. I'm like, guys, just grab your phone out of your pocket. Come on, we're at a restaurant right now. Hey, 1 second. It's like, come on.
Did they run more inside because the interior line is better, or no? I just think that was Eastern Kentucky couldn't stop it. So like you didn't have to show the whole bag of tricks in game one.
Yeah.
Because you were able to just run right at them and have your way with them.
Yeah.
And it's a fine balance, of what do you want to show, what do you want them to prep for, and what do you want to keep back. It's always like you toe the line of let's give them a little sneak peek of this, but we got different folds off of it. Mm-hmm. So I thought they did a good job of, throwing some stuff in there to make them prep. But I mean, still, I bet there's some good shit coming next week.
Also when you watch Pat Narduzzi's press conference, he mentioned that he would have been a lot more, concerned if Cincinnati was the week 1 opponent. Now he's happy to be able to have a game worth of tape to watch and to kind of understand what they're trying to do and who the personnel is. So, I mean, maybe a lot of it is just not showing your full hand on that side of things. And, I'm sure.
Well, you heard Narduzzi say in his press conference today, like it looks different than the way Satterfield ran the ball at Louisville. It's because they didn't run much of the outside stuff.
Yep.
But it's in there. Like
it's coming.
Right.
That'll be a thrilling chess match. Narduzzi against Satterfield. They played twice, when Satterfield was at Louisville. 1-1 Satterfield was in those 2 games, and one was last year. They kind of took it to Pitt a little bit. Pitt's got a better quarterback situation now and probably a better overall team, but still, they know each other well. So that'll be something fun to dive into. I wanted to talk about the defense now. Just obviously we've been harping on the offense because they had fireworks, man. That was a really good offensive performance. Defense, they still played pretty doggone well too. I mentioned on the pod leading up to it last week, I was like, I don't want the Colonels to gain a yard on the ground rushing, and for a while it was looking like that was going to be the case. A couple big drives by the Colonels. Obviously, eventually they were able to kind of get their footing. Scoring 13 points is that's something that is to be expected with a pretty good FCS team, a team that went to the FCS playoffs last year, a team that is supposed to be pretty good this year, one of the best quarterbacks in the entire FCS. So I don't know.
They were good on offense, but
yeah,
I thought Cincinnati did a really good job shutting them down and keeping him in check because it looked like they ran pretty good stuff. They gave, he, like we talked about, was likely. They got the ball out quick. They got it into space. I thought as Cincinnati adjusted, which is exactly what I talked about Wednesday on the preview show, like it's gonna get you a little bit early. And then as the defense adjusts and understands where you're trying to go hot, where you're trying to go quick, then they should be able to kind of do a better job containing it. They had those 2 runs in the third quarter. It was late third or early fourth, whatever it was.
Yeah. That drive, yeah.
But I mean, that's they're running air raid on you, and they have been, and they're down 50, and then they hit you with 2 runs up the gut. Like, don't be surprised if your run fit isn't exactly what, and I'm interested to hear Royer's take on those 2 runs. I just didn't see the run fit where it was supposed to be because they have been throwing the ball constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden they bust 2 run plays that get blocked up well. And they make a couple splashes, but it wasn't like it was something they were consistently managing to do all night, or all day, whatever. I don't know. I thought the defense was good. I thought they were solid. We knew there weren't going to be a lot of opportunities for sacks because of EKU's game plan. But they still brought the heat. There were a bunch of tackles for loss, 7.5, 7, 8, something like that, whatever it was. I don't know how you end up with a half. I don't think that's possible. I think it always ends up variables of 1. But I don't know. I thought the defense was solid. I didn't think they needed to be spectacular, but they just needed to go out and complete their assignments. And outside of 2 or 3 plays, I thought they did.
For whatever it's worth, the running back who did break off a couple big ones, that was actually Michael Carter's brother, running back for the Jets. I don't know if you guys knew that as you were there watching the game, but that was one of the things the broadcast mentioned. So he at least comes by it honestly, right?
Yeah. Sure.
Aaron, I was hearing that Ryan Leaf was dumbfounded when he heard that we were picked 13th in the Big 12.
He was, but he was also dumbfounded that Washington State got no love and continued to tout that drum probably 54 times throughout the broadcast. So I think that he's had some concussions.
Washington State.
No, he's had a drug problem that's ended up in prison.
I wasn't even trying to go there. I was just trying to, the normal quarterback thing who said something stupid. But
yeah, 7 tackles for loss, 3 sacks. Obviously you want to see that number up a little bit. I can't believe they didn't give your boy Gilly credited with the sack on that, because the whole fine line thing. Yeah,
it was.
Did he not get a sack on that?
No, they gave him a tackle for loss.
A tackle for loss.
Who decided that was a run?
I don't know.
The official scorer, whoever that is.
Yeah,
unreal.
But yeah, I mean, you saw obviously some highlight names that we mentioned coming into it. Pace, it looks like he is going to be, pardon my pun here, a star on this defense at the star position. I mean, a little punny, but yeah,
You're so punny.
He flew all over the field. A little over aggressive at times, trying to come up with a big play that let the offensive player get past him. He was able to catch up and tackle him. I think that was a 13 or 15 yard or 20, maybe 20 yard completion. But aside from that, he's going to be a menace. Your boy in the back, Oso, man, Threats is going to have a great year. He played the most snaps on defense. Another guy just all over the field, ball hawking, had a big interception, obviously. Justin Harris filled in for Sammy Anderson when Sammy exited the game. I thought he looked good. Had a pick 6 that he let fall through his hands, but the very next play came up with an interception, his first career interception. So shouts to Justin Harris, just kind of long journeyman.
Well deserved.
Yeah. And then he takes the entire defense down and has an NFL style celebration.
Oh yeah.
Did that get flagged?
No, but they flagged spinning the ball. They broke up Xavier Henderson's first touchdown as he started giving 5s to people. Like, I don't. There was a crotchety old man who was a back judge who had an issue with Cincinnati celebrating anything. If you don't like it, tell the other team to stop them from scoring, sir. It's your job to referee, not to stop celebrations.
Wanted to have zero fun, sir. But yeah, I mean, obviously, similar to the offense, you can't take too much away because EKU, but still, the defense looked stout. Up the gut. Narduzzi mentioned it. Dante Corleone is just an absolute problem. You always have to figure out where he is pre-snap. Obviously, he's going to be right over the center or in one of the gaps, and you've got to make sure that you get 1 or 2 or 3 people on him so he doesn't take over the game. So, I mean, Dante just was feasting in the backfield a lot. I thought Briggs was in the backfield a lot. But, Chad, your boy Eric Phillips, man, he is a guy that, we were wondering who's going to be that other outside rush end. And we'll talk about DG here in a bit. But Eric Phillips, man, he looked really good again. Obviously, the counting stats weren't too much. But, I mean, he looked like he's primed and ready to have another really good season.
He just has a quickness to him now that he hasn't really had in his and not only the quickness, but he also has expanded his repertoire. A lot more moves, a lot. It can spin back inside, can swim, can bull rush, can speed rush. So he's showing off a lot more of that pass rushing package. That with him, like, remember at one point he was like 330 pounds, like he was an inside guy,
right?
So it's gonna continue to be a development for him to be an athletic, like, outside guy and learn all of those things that come with playing on the edge and being asked to get after the quarterback. But look, teams aren't going to focus their attention on Corleone and Briggs. Narduzzi already said it. Like, everything we do is going to be to slow him down. You put EP on, solo outside ability to make some plays, and I think he's going to have a very big year.
Yeah,
I'm excited for him. I love the kid. Such a great kid.
Right, exactly. And then you also add in the similar type scenario as you mentioned for Eric Phillips is Daniel Greshik. All that attention on the interior of the line and on Briggs on the other side. DG was feasted, man, and his story is awesome as was mentioned numerous times in the post game presser. But man, he's a fun interview. He seemed like him and Xavier Henderson were both seemed like just really fun guys, but also genuine guys who genuinely were talking about wanting to show out and wanting to just win. Like, they have a goal. They're coming out. They're doing it. And man, DG had that strip sack and fumble recovery. He was in the backfield all the time, was out in coverage a little bit. He's a guy that's going to be crucial piece of the defense, and he showed out. Aaron, anything you saw from DG or Royer? You love a little Daniel Greshik in your system, huh?
Yeah, I loved what I saw from him, especially on that strip sack. I think he has a really dynamic ability, kind of Maije-esque in terms of being able to go out wide and kind of attack at that angle. I think his game's a lot different than Maije's, but his ability to kind of utilize space in unique ways. But I do not like him playing linebacker split out at 2 in a 3-down look. I think we should scrap that look next week because every time we did that is when they ran it right up our ass, basically, on defense. And anytime DG was kind of split out in that 2, I know it must be part of their scheme. I just don't. Every time we did it, it resulted in a big play for EKU, and I'm kind of thinking that Pitt might be able to expose that better, especially.
But Ryan, I would say the difference there is, like, they were down 50. Like, you were just expecting Eastern Kentucky to put the ball in their quarterback's hands and pass. Like, if they wanted to run at that point in time, so what? You know what I mean? Like, I think you're trying to make sure you're cutting off the quick stuff, the hot game, like getting the ball out. Like, that's what they had kind of done. And you're already into the third quarter, so you've developed kind of a feel for what Eastern Kentucky is doing offensively. I think it was more time and situation than it was they got caught in something.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I just don't want it to be like,
I know what you mean,
an expose where Pitt knows, okay, we can split out a tight end and run 12P and try to get Cincinnati in that look or some way and just run it up their ass. Because I don't think this defense is structured in the 3-down look anywhere like our defense in the 3-down look.
Completely different.
Yeah. It doesn't have the same fits. It doesn't have the same guys coming up in the run fit in the secondary. and the split out linebackers. So that was kind of, and I keep bringing up Pitt because I think, it's the biggest litmus test. I don't know how much EKU is going to show us. I think we just did exactly what we should have done. But I'm just nervous with Pitt and 12 personnel and trying to attack.
Oh yeah, they're
us.
going to be physical, man.
Yeah, and so I think
For
that
sure.
suits us very well. In the Corleone, Briggs, and Greshik up on the line. We've got to see more from the linebackers. I think neither of them really popped out. It didn't seem like they made any big mistake, but we've been used to like top tier linebacker play for a long time now. Most of our linebackers were all conference, if not first team all conference. I don't know, since I was there.
One of the first things I thought looking at the stats, Ryan, was a lot of safeties made tackles, not a lot of linebackers. Ryan's gonna be on that.
Yeah.
Taj Ward and Threats making a lot of tackles that we didn't see from Debo, Dorian Jones, and Dingle.
Yeah. Actually, Deion Hunter was the leading linebacker.
Hey, how many times I talk about him in practice?
Yeah.
Through camp. Like, I think he's got potential to maybe start seeing more and more snaps as this thing goes on. He's got a nose for the ball.
Who is he? Is that the New Mexico guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a really good camp.
I was talking to Jake and Jack Dingle, and they were telling me how good he is and how he's just, like you said, a ball hawk, and that you're going to see a lot from him this year. But yeah, I just think that none of them made mistakes. Just no one was really like getting in there, making a big play or flying to the ball. Not a ton of like huge block. Like, we saw Pace just blow up linemen. We saw Pace just find ways to get to the running backs, shimmy around, and obviously these like Dingle and Debo aren't Ivan Pace, but
just a unanimous consensus first team All-American.
You need even when Deshaun Pace from your linebackers.
Even when Deshaun Pace did bite, he ended up
still made the tackle,
going back and making the play after being on the ground and just recovering. Like, I thought it was phenomenal.
Yeah, and they were kind of using DP as like the stand-up guy in our third down package. Kind of how. Which I really like because I think he's really dynamic in that way. Kind of how we used Ivan, how we used B. Wright or sometimes Maije previously. And I really like that look. I think that's going to be really good for him because one, he's the kind of guy who can get through some protections from the O-line in unique ways, but also I think he can find a way to kind of sneak back and kind of either rush the quarterback in kind of a spy look or even like hit some of those underneath holes, and I could see him getting some sneaky picks that way too. So I really like how they used him on third down.
His explosion to the ball is elite. Like his ability to just go from 0 to 60.
Yeah.
Like where he's, just kind of strafing and kind of right in that spot, and then to take off once the quarterback lets go of the ball is absolutely elite. It's Deshaun, not Deshaun.
And also, you saw
corrected on that by Deshaun.
Yeah, well, if you heard Pete Thamel's pronunciation of it, of Deshaun, it was pretty bad. But anyway, man, you saw it on that one half sack that him and Taj Ward had, where he kind of overran it, came back, and then absolutely leveled EKU.
Well, the quarterback was afraid to throw the ball because he can jump high enough to have intercepted it if the quarterback would have tried to let it go.
Yep.
So he kind of stood there in coverage, like, if you're going to throw it, I'm going to get it. And then as soon as he tucked it, Deshaun just exploded forward.
Lit up Parker McKinney. I mean, just nailed him. But yeah, yet again, it's EKU. So you wonder how much Brian Brown didn't necessarily completely open up the bag of tricks, which would be the smart thing to do. I think straight up, you're able to beat EKU and pretty much handle them on defense like they did. So, maybe we do see some more exotic blitz packages and do see the havoc really start to take over. Because we mentioned the strip sack by Greshik. That's something that he mentioned in the post-game press conference as well. He said as he's gotten older, he doesn't even try and tackle the quarterback when he sacks him now. He's trying to go for the ball on each time that he has the ability to. So, I think you're going to see that mentality a little bit more, and hopefully it leads to even more strip sacks, even more rush throws and errant passes. But I am excited to see a traditional type team like Pitt, and how they are going to try and establish a run against those two defensive linemen that Briggs and Corleone up the middle. So that's going to be something really exciting to watch. Some quick hits on defense. I thought Rob Jackson looked pretty good in the couple of series that he was in. I saw him in the backfield a couple of times, kind of had a big swinging tackle. And any other names kind of that Antoine Peak, obviously finishing with 5 tackles on the day.
He's good, man.
He's good. He is good.
James Camden looks like a beast on special teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah,
he was a monster on kickoff.
Yeah.
First play of the game, blew the guy up, made the tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Third kickoff,
He did it again later.
Yeah, he looked really good. I think he needs to do a little better job on punt block. I think I saw him get kind of juked out of his shoes, but I think he kind of made up for it with this kickoff play. He looked really good. A guy, walk-on guy who's now on three special teams units, which is huge. It's really tough to do, and not only on him, but
and he's on
plays.
the 2 deep.
Yeah,
they're close to the 2 deep, like he's right there.
Yeah, James is doing great, man. I love the way he plays.
Yeah, he was one of the first guys in with second team defense, so it was pretty nice. Yeah. Anything more defensive wise? I mean, we'll find out a lot more against Pitt. When are we, Steven Chenault? When are we going to talk about punt gunner?
Well, they only punted once, Steven, and they got a penalty.
Yeah.
Here's the problem with that. I can't be too critical of that penalty on the Gunners because Mason Fletcher fucking destroyed that ball.
Yeah.
Like the hang time on that thing had to be over 5. Like it was just up in the air, traveling for what felt like forever. And the Gunners got there a full second early.
Yeah.
You could tell he had the frustration of like sitting there and watching for 57 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And he came out and just, I would check the DPI on that football. I bet it dropped like 5%.
Tom Brady-esque after that.
He that thing just hung in the air. Like, you watch enough, they do enough special teams that in your mind, like you have a clock on what a good punt is supposed to look like. And that thing was destroyed, just destroyed.
Yeah. Well, and also it almost trickled and stopped before it went into the end zone too.
Yeah.
But if there wasn't the kick catch interference and the Gunners weren't really gunning for that, they were gunning to stop it. They probably didn't think that it was going to get all the way there. But
no, well, you're supposed to go to a spot and it's your first time doing it all year, and you get to that spot at the exact time you're supposed to get to that spot, and the ball is still like
and they lit them up
yards away in the air.
They lit them up too. I mean, that was one of the louder hits of the entire game. But yeah, I mean, if Mason Fletcher is having only one punt a game and it comes late in the fourth quarter, we'll take that every single game this year. And he might not win the Ray Guy Award, but
Fletcher will be pissed.
He might not win the Ray Guy Award, but that would mean the team's winning a lot of football games and putting up these video game numbers.
If he kicks every ball like that, he'll win the Ray Guy Award. I don't care about the guy at Iowa or wherever the hell he's from.
Yeah.
That was one of what 3 special teams penalties that they had though, right? Because they had the
running into
Yeah,
the kicker, running into the punter.
The running into the kicker, like he tried to hold up.
I agree.
think that's a freshman or like a young guy like in that position.
It was Jamal.
The guy's
right?
rolling
Jamal
out.
Williams,
Jamal,
yeah.
Yeah.
The guy's rolling out to the right, and I think he got a little overzealous on. He got close and thought he could make a play, and then realized, oh shit, I can't. Like that's a timing thing that I think he'll get right.
It was also the weird punt style.
It's
Australian.
It's a rugby, the
Right.
Australian
Rugby
style where he's rolling right. Like I said, I think he just got the big eyes that like, oh, I'm close enough to maybe.
Because if you go straight, with it, it is a block, 100%.
Yeah.
But because he rolls out, I get it.
I think that was a rookie, not a rookie per se, but like a guy that's new to that role, like realizing if you can't get to it, you have to know when you can't get to it.
Yeah.
And he hit the gas and couldn't, the brakes didn't work. the brakes didn't work as he got to the backside and just kind of nudged him, which it was a 4th and 7, so it was a 5-yard penalty. Yeah. There's really no harm, no foul.
And then they were like originally not going to repunt, and then all of a sudden they brought the punting. Yeah. It was just that's EKU. But yeah, it's quick shouts as well to Brady Lichtenberg. We didn't really mention him on the offensive side, but 4 for 4. Barry Jackson looking like a future elite wide receiver. Man, he turned on those Jets, and there was no one tackling that guy. That was a determined yak right there. And then of course the rushing touchdown for Brady as well. So shouts to Brady, man. Good in the backup role, and then obviously the first game time experience for Brady Drogosh. Obviously, kind of a.
I was 2.5 minutes left, and just trying to get on the plane, if you will.
Get the feet wet. Just get the feet wet.
Just get it over with. Get us to 0 and get us to the locker room, and get ready for Pitt.
Yeah, and Pitt it is. Anything more on EKU, guys? 21.5. Obliterated that 21.5 point spread. I mean, come on, guys.
Just worth noting that you did get the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week.
Yep.
The newcomer of the week for the Big 12 as well.
4th highest rated PFF wide receiver.
Where's the plates kicker for special teams player of the week? 9 extra points and a 40-yard, 47-yard, 46-yard.
I didn't get a vote. I'm just saying.
I know.
Aaron, we got to figure out how we can get you a vote, though.
I would have voted for Emory.
Because
special teams player of the week.
Sure.
Yeah, all of it. Yeah, defensive player of the week, special teams player. They're like clean sweep.
Get him that Heisman that Keegan's been on about.
But shouts to Carter Brown for sure. That was a situation. I mean, Ryan Coe looks spectacular in North Carolina, and you know what? It just seems like it was not even a miss. like Carter Brown came out and did kind of exactly what you would want out of your kicker. That 46-yarder looked pretty doggone good. Aaron, you were watching from home. Was that probably could have been good from a little bit further?
Right down Broadway.
Yep.
It looked like you could have gone maybe another 5 to 7.
Yeah,
7's probably a stretch.
Right,
probably closer to 5.
Yeah.
You didn't have a ton there, but you weren't like just clearing the bar either.
And it was a hot, muggy day too. And
it was that
you're coming out there and kicking that distance. It was impressive. Gosh, it's hard not to get excited about this team. And 8 point spread for this upcoming Saturday. There's still some level of doubt out there. I think these two teams are a lot more similar than they are different. And I think on the CW you're going to get a good look as to what they look.
Well, or do you want to talk a little? Do you want to timestamp and then
I was
maybe
thinking
talk a little bit?
Do a timestamp.
All right, that timestamp recapping Eastern Kentucky is brought to you by Paper Supply. Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company. For all your non-food products, Quick Paper services over 150 restaurants with weekly low minimum next day deliveries. They provide a wide range of food service products, from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick 513-470-2029. Reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases. All right, let's get a quick first look at Pitt.
Yeah, good old Pitt. Well, first off, win number 1 in the books for Scott Satterfield at UC. I want to mention this before we completely rolled on, but did you guys see Dan Horde tweeted what, so how did Scott Satterfield celebrate his first win at UC? Scott Satterfield's words: "My wife asked me, 'What do you want?' I said, 'A cheeseburger and some fries.' It's kind of a ritual. We DoorDashed some Red Robin and watched college football and celebrated that way. It was fun." I mean, that's awesome.
I mean, we're going to have to get him on.
Hey,
There's
get
some
him to
good burger
Delwood, man.
spots.
Get him to Delwood.
Delwood's outstanding. Like, we're going to have to get him on some better burger spots.
Red Robin, dude. What?
Disgusting.
Is there even a Red Robin in Cincinnati?
Gross.
Red Robin.
Send him to Zips. Get him a little zip.
I like Delwood, Royer. I'm with you. Delwood's
That might be
Delwood's
my
a
favorite
fine
burger I've had.
It's a fine. It's still Delwood.
Delwood?
Yeah.
I know
It's
unsuspecting.
Yeah.
Just kind of like right in the middle of Mount Lookout Square, and you like.
It's kind of got like In-N-Out vibes to it a little bit.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is it like a burger place, or is it like a restaurant with a good burger?
It's a bar.
Okay.
It's a bar with a really good burger. It's actually
right across
it's one of Zach Taylor's family's like go-to spots.
Okay.
Right there, and they were one of the first. They were the first 4 places that got the game balls. When Zach started that tradition, they were one of the first. That first win on the road, they were one of the first game balls.
Yeah, so, looking at pictures, I haven't been, but I do remember it now. So cool.
Delwood, hit us up. What's up?
Hey, no free advertisements. No free advertisements, but Delwood.
Kelly and I one day, she had a doctor's appointment down that way.
And
we stopped at Mount Lookout Square.
That's what you were talking about. Mm-hmm.
We walked around. Everything was closed, and the only place that was open was Delwood. So we strolled in and had a burger, and we were both like,
"Wait a minute!
I'll be damned! It's a good burger.
This shit's hitting. It's hitting, baby.
Yeah.
Golly. Well, speaking of hitting, I tell you what, one of these two teams will win the game this weekend, but they will not be able to take home the famous trophy. Obviously, we're going to get that right out of the way.
I go ahead. I'll chime in a minute.
The River City Rivalry is obviously a good historic meeting between the two teams. Obviously, it's been kind of back and forth. Only 4 wins for the Bearcats, but obviously a little bit more on the side. Yeah, actually 4 out of the last 5.
Okay.
Lone loss was in 2010 at Nippert, 28-10. But yeah, obviously you'll remember that 2011 win, and then of course that 2012 victory at Nippert again, 34-10. That was the last time the two teams faced each other. That was in Butch Jones's first season. So yeah, obviously these two teams know each other from the Big East days. And for some reason, the rivalry will be a rivalry, but they will not have the trophy anymore.
I'd bring it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't get the sense today that Cincinnati was aware that there was a mutual decision not to bring the trophy. Maybe somewhere farther up the food chain that decision was mutually agreed upon, but I don't know that this is a mutual decision. I think everybody just assumed like Cincinnati has the trophy. We'll bring it with us. Mm-hmm. But that was not also like an official report. That was sources tell the guy from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette.
Right.
But there was no there's no direct quotes tied to that, which tells me I don't know how mutual.
A little up
I
in
don't
the
know.
air.
I don't know. I mean, I guess if Pitt doesn't want to play for it, like Cincinnati will just keep it.
Yeah. I mean,
like, okay, we get it forever. It stays in our trophy case from here until the end of time. Even if you win these next 2 games, all right, we'll keep it. Whatever. We'll see. I'm interested to inquire about the River City Rivalry trophy tomorrow.
46 inches tall, 95 pounds.
It's heavy. It's big.
That thing's gonna need its own seat on the plane.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh yeah.
I agree.
It's not as heavy as the Victory Bell's. I think definitely heavier.
Right.
But it's heavy.
Royer,
Sure.
did you carry the Victory Bell at all?
I have, and
It's heavy.
It is heavy as hell.
I love the reaction when the freshmen have to go get the Victory Bell and they try to pick it up for the first time and they're like, ugh! Whoa, hey, can I get some help?
It properly too.
Can I get some help?
No, seriously. Well, learning how to ring it's a thing too, because some guys just think you just go up to the bell and you just shake it around, but no,
you got to ring it.
Let
it's
the bell. You pull up one end, and then you push, let it ring, push. So then you get good dongs. You got to get good dongs, man. You know.
Yep. Always aiming for that good dong for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. There's no doubt. Well, talking about the Pitt Panthers is going to be the fact that offensively they've got. I know, Chad. I mean, we walked right into it.
No, you walked right. The same as you always do. You walked right into it.
Yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, it's gonna be a game. Obviously, the 2 coaches know each other. Have schemed against each other twice in recent years. Last year, I kind of mentioned it a little bit. Satterfield got the better of the game. He was able to take down Pitt with the final score of it's 24-10. 24-10. They had 122 rushing yards, 190 passing yards. So not really an offensive explosion there, but defensively they really held Pitt to only 168 rushing yards, 158 passing yards. So it was a bit of a defensive expose. Do you think who do you think, Chad and crew, benefits more from just having that familiarity of scheming against the other coach?
I mean, I think Cincinnati a little bit, just because it's all new personnel. So obviously the scheme and the game plan and the design shifts a little bit as you shift to what you have in-house now, where when you're with the same team, although the transfer portal era gets a little more convoluted, but when you're always with the same team, your styles are pretty similar. Your the way that you operate is pretty similar. So I would say Satterfield, with a little bit of unknown. Plus, there's also the possibility that a lot of what they showed against Eastern Kentucky was vanilla, and they didn't have to show what they want to do. So now Pitt spends a week game planning for what they saw against Eastern Kentucky, and that's potentially a little different than how the game plan looks. So I'd give a slight edge, not significant at all. I'd give a slight edge maybe to Satterfield there, because he does have some knowledge of how Narduzzi has run things at Pitt, especially as early as last season.
I will say it looks like they only had 7 transfers that came into Pitt for whatever that's worth.
I mean, he's been there for he's got things kind of stable, I guess is a great way to put it.
And to play devil's advocate slightly, Chad, I think that means something that's good, because I don't think Satterfield, he really knows how his team is going to respond to adversity or a wrench in the system. Yeah,
no question.
It's kind of like, it's good. Pitt doesn't really know exactly what we have, but we don't entirely know what we have in terms of
No,
what
absolutely
do we
not.
expect from the coaches if shit hits the fan, the players if shit hits the fan. How are they going to communicate in the chaos of a game day? And that was one of the things I was talking to
Yeah.
the guys on the sideline about was how were the coaches like? How do they respond to adversity? How do they respond to just the ebbs and flows of a game? And the players seemed to they were big fans of kind of how the coaching staff handled EKU to say, but I think that Pitt game, there's going to be highs
Well,
and lows.
yeah, because you're going to go 2-3 drives without a touchdown.
Yeah.
You're going to go 2 drives in a row where they get a touchdown and a field goal. Like that's the adversity that we didn't see this week, Ryan. So you're exactly right there for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's I think we're gonna learn a lot about the team. I think the team's gonna learn even more about itself because those guys they've gone up there. They talk about we feel close, this, that, and the other, but you don't really know shit about your team, about how you guys really bond and how strong that bond is until you're down in the trenches and you're playing a good ass team. You get hit in the mouth a couple times, or someone has a missed assignment. How does the team respond? So I think we're going to learn a lot about the team. The team's going to learn about itself. The coaches going to learn a lot about their players. I think it's a true litmus test, Pitt. So I'm excited, man. It's gonna it's gonna be a good compass indicator of where we're going.
Yeah, Aaron, you mentioned the not a big turnover transfer wise, probably one of the least in the entire country if you had to really break down the numbers. But
13 out, 7 in, yeah.
But they had the biggest at the biggest position. They do have a transfer, and it kind of fits that whole post hype prospect that I was mentioning. Obviously, Keaton Slovis is out, goes to BYU. BYU won themselves a thriller, 14-0, week 1 against Sam Houston State. But now in steps Phil Jurkovich, who is another highly rated recruit, top 100 coming out of high school. Went to Notre Dame, had played some games there, didn't really get in the groove of things, so he transferred to Boston College. Boston College, I believe they held tryouts to see who could play offensive line for them last year because there were so many injuries. That's a lie, but it was pretty bad situation there at BC, and so then Jurkovich heads into the to the portal and lands in Pittsburgh. He's, I wouldn't say dual threat, but he can run the football. He has the ability to. He finished 17 of 23 for 214 yards and a touchdown. Long pass of only 28 yards, and then he added another 53 on the ground with another rushing touchdown. He was sacked once, which takes that rushing total down to 41 yards. But I just perusing their message boards a little bit. Pitt fans were not overly excited about old PJ's first performance at the quarterback position for them. I believe they also had a big injury to one of their tackles before the game against Wofford. But I mean, even still, so Cincinnati played EKU, Pittsburgh played Wofford. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know anything about Wofford, but they won 45-7. Scored 7 points in the first quarter, then kind of blew up in the second with 21, and then the rest of the way it was kind of just a snoozer. But it's a similar situation where new quarterback trying to get things in the groove. Obviously, a defensive-minded team, really good defense at that. But it's not a game or a situation where you really look and think one team is significantly better than the other, or they seem pretty doggone even, especially after week 1 is in the books. No running backs rush for more than, I believe, like 65 yards. They did have only like a 4.2 rushing average. I mean, it was nothing too crazy. 4.8 rushing average, but
yeah, I mean they took care of business, but they didn't overwhelm Wofford.
Right. They had forced 0 interceptions. Didn't force a single turnover in the entire game. Did come away with 4 sacks, a handful of tackles for loss, but wasn't like they completely dominated.
And that's that's something I think like that Royer you're talking about as well. Like what happens with if Pitt gets a couple sacks, like how does Emory handle that? Is he calm and cool and just like on to the next play, or does he start to get happy feet? Does he start to overthrow some of that intermediate stuff that had been a problem for him in past stops, where we didn't see any of that against Eastern Kentucky. But I just think that's kind of another interesting element. They are going to get to him at points in this game. That is their MO. Like, I will be shocked if they don't have 2 or 3 sacks in this game just because that's what they do. That's what they base their defense on. What is his mentality? How does he handle potentially getting sped up a little bit? How does he handle, does he start to get jumpy if somebody comes off the blind side and gets him? Is he still standing in there and waiting to make a throw?
And I think Satterfield can really help him out by early and
Sure.
often outside runs, triple option. We saw those. We know they can do those. I think we need to look at screens, keeping the D-line honest with screens, and designed boots, designed half rollouts, quick game, doing all those things, keeping Pitt's D coordinator guessing so they can't just send the house. They even if our O-line might be struggling on the outside for some reason, that we're going to have answers and if he does take some sacks, we have something to counter with.
Yeah. I mean, also, of course, it's just Wofford, but they did hold them to -1 rushing yards in the entire game, which I think it's helped due in large part to the sacks. They lost 28 yards in the sacks, but held them to -1 yards in the entire game. But I mean, Bryce Corsten, Wofford's quarterback, went 12-17 for 127 yards and a touchdown. Had a 75-yard completion as well. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see kind of what the offense looks like as they step up to this higher level defense. I mean, just watching the highlights, it's not like Pitt really had any crazy explosive plays on offense, and then defensively they kind of just held their own on the line of scrimmage, and soon the game went by pretty quickly as well. So I don't know. Aaron, thoughts on Pitt initially?
I mean, I don't know. I think that I'm ready to see what this team's made of at this point. Like, we got a little taste of it, and we saw a relatively vanilla offense and defense. So I'm ready to see what this team looks like when you open up that playbook. And truthfully, I don't know that they're going to hold anything back against, especially if the game is winnable, then even with Oklahoma looming in the not so distant future.
Which, I mean, shouts, of course, to the fan base, man. The student section was packed 45 minutes before kickoff. Nippert is a special place, and you heard them mention it, but this one's on the road, obviously. A NFL stadium, good old, what do they call it, Ackshire or whatever it's called now.
There still wasn't a full Nippert, though. Chad and I have talked about this. There were still open seats.
It was sold out.
Well,
it was sold out,
look,
but we
man,
need butts in every seat.
Fucking hot, Royer. It was hot.
I know,
like if you were standing in the shade, if you were on the sun side and you were down standing in the shade, I ain't mad at you.
I was gonna finish up the point with to all those people asking for more seating. Just remember that we don't want the other team's fans in there because sometimes we struggle with getting butts in every seat. It's only 40,000. So just remember
it was
that
sold out. There were no tickets available, Ryan. You couldn't buy a ticket if you wanted to.
I may or may not have had a relative. I may or may not have had a relative who had to leave the game before halftime due to overheat exhaustion.
Oh, I was told Fifth Third Arena was a triage unit. Like,
I don't doubt that.
People passing out. It was hot, dude. It was hot.
It brought back flashbacks to that Purdue game back in.
That Purdue game was way hotter, but it was still really, really hot.
2000.
We'll see. I think Oklahoma.
maybe?
It'll be. I don't think we'll have a problem with that one.
No, it's supposed to
I
start
think
dropping
that's a
down into the
safe assumption.
70s next week, I
Yeah.
think.
Well,
So,
I think
yeah.
it'd be overflowing even with the temperature probably for that game.
I mean, you got to think if Cincinnati can go and possibly pull out a win at Pitt, that's going to be a monster game. And I'm not overlooking Miami or the fake Miami now, but it's going to be probably big noon kickoff for Fox.
That's still not confirmed. We'll see.
Right.
They were already talking about it being that before.
Well, that's because Brett McMurphy said it was going to be a noon game before the TV partners even picked the games. Like, maybe he's right, but there's no indication. Like, they haven't even gotten to that window. Like, the Pitt game is going to determine like how important that Oklahoma game is. Like,
maybe you want to
do. What's that?
It gets moved to prime time, ABC,
Nip
at
at
night. Oh,
yeah.
please,
back to back nip at nights,
blackout, Nick at night.
There hasn't been a home nip at night since regular season, since like 17 or 18 or so. It's been a long time.
What? Oh, like a Saturday nip at night?
Yeah,
because the
Friday
the
Halloween
game last year.
There's been weekday nip at nights because you don't play in the afternoon on a Thursday or Friday.
Yep.
Like, it has to be a nip at night on a weekday. But in terms of a Saturday regular season nip at night, I think it's been like 2017 since that happened.
We need John Cunningham banging on the desk for that one. I don't know how much say he has.
Beat Pitt.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Force their
Pitt.
hand.
Beat Pitt. I think Fox will.
It's big news
to have the big news.
Because Cincinnati 3-0, Oklahoma 3-0. Like, that the first Big 12 game.
Force the hand.
But you don't understand, Aaron. That is
stage
Fox's
a protest.
That is their
prime time.
Game.
That's their prime time.
So,
like,
now
to them, that is
ABC have their primetime night slots.
Yeah.
We'll just get the players to not take the field until 6:30, and they'll have no choice.
I mean, we're getting a little too far up, but that is going to be a wild atmosphere. Obviously,
either way.
Yeah, either way.
3-0, 2-1, like whatever.
They're doing the whole Big 12 tailgate experience thing. Bringing in a DJ from the Vanderpump Rules. Gonna be rowdy. It's gonna be rowdy. It's gonna be wild. But you know what? It's gonna be wild at Pitt this weekend too. I think Pitt doesn't like Cincinnati, and I know I don't really care for Pitt. So
the two towns hate each other. They hate each other. They've always hated each other. That's why that carried over into college football. So yeah.
Did you NFL thing?
NFL major, like, they just don't like Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, like Pirates, Reds,
Amir Garrett taking up
Steelers, right? Like they just don't. It's two cities that don't like each other.
River dwellers.
Yeah,
Blue Jackets,
5 hours apart.
Hey now, Columbus. FC
Columbus.
Cincinnati versus.
You live in Cincinnati.
Whoever Pittsburgh's soccer team is.
They have like a minor. They don't have like a full-on team, I think.
Okay. But yeah, it'll be, man. It's going to be a fun. Did you guys see the fans singing "Sweet Caroline" at the Pitt game? It's pretty funny.
They do that every game,
right?
That's
but like the fan was
quarter.
Obnoxiously singing it, and I would love to.
What they do.
No, this was extra. This is absolutely extra.
I don't think you remember 2009. That was the most obnoxious fucking thing I've ever heard in my life.
I understand what you're saying, but you have to see this video. It's next level. There's no way that anyone is topping this guy and what he did.
The whole fan base did. They thought they were walking to a Big East championship and ending Cincinnati's undefeated season.
I understand. So
they sang "Sweet Caroline" with the gusto of 1,000 fucking suns,
right?
And that's why it's so funny, is because they had to eat shit Pitt.
Yeah. Yes, the eat shit Pitt. But I tell you what, You gotta watch the. I understand. Pardon my take. Posted it. This guy's intense, and
Can we get it on the screen?
If he's there, I mean, maybe. I'm not. I don't have those capabilities.
I don't know. I don't know if that'll get us.
Yeah, don't do
it. We credited them. Shouts to Pardon My Take.
It's
the
not exactly
algorithm
how it works.
doesn't care. It just says, is there that music in your thing? And if so, you are demonetized.
Well, just watch it.
AI doesn't care that we discussed it at length.
Right. Bearcat? Can we get Bearcat on here?
Yeah. I mean, Dana Beers still firing on all cylinders as
he was on some good content this weekend. See him trying to do the down the drive.
Yeah,
he gave up.
I mean, his updated Heisman rankings.
He was also too fat to jump out of a plane this week, so.
Yeah.
Did you see him get gassed up by the guy about the Nutella? He's like how he just discovered Nutella. The guy's like, brother, you are way too big to just be discovering Nutella.
he's like Nick Van Exel discovering iced coffee.
Oh yeah. That's the key right there. But yeah, I mean, just wrapping up on Pitt. Chad, obviously you and Dave kind of dive in a little bit more on the previews and whatnot.
Sure. More detail.
But I mean, it's just defensive team. Phil Yurkovich, we mentioned him already. He's taking the reins over there. So it's a similar situation with Emory here. It's who's gonna really take over there. I mean, it's just I don't know. You think Pitt is solid just because 9-4 last year. Good defense. Obviously the year before that with Kenny Pickett, they were really good as well. But it's just they don't jump off the page to me right now. Of course, defensively, we don't really know how they'll match up with us, but they don't really jump off the page to me as like, oh gosh, this is scary. So in 8-point spread, I think Vegas somewhat agrees, but still.
I guess here's what it comes down to, and I'm sure we'll expound on this Wednesday.
Yeah,
is that really a team that you feel like is going to go out and put 35 points on Cincinnati? 35 points on Cincinnati? No, I don't. So it's going to be close. If that's not the case, then it's going to be close.
Yeah, I agree. Aaron, Ryan, anything more on old Pitt?
No, this is the one right here, man. This is the true test of the team. I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, Diamond, that Israel Apinkonda guy that was on the Jets.
Brent.
Yeah,
let's go.
I'm looking at him even more, but yeah,
I know. Let's go.
Let's roll.
That's a Quick Paper Supply timestamp brought to you by Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. Quick Paper services over 150 restaurants with weekly low minimum next day deliveries, providing a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Boom. Basketball wise, there's really not much.
Recruiting.
Yeah, obviously it was a big recruiting weekend. Good to see. Obviously, good old Trilly Donovan was, obviously it was hinted on the board quite a lot about a mystery visitor, and Trilly Donovan has no boundaries when it comes to that. So he revealed who it was, and it was LeBaron Philon, and obviously Philon was there in attendance, joined alongside Bearcat commit Tyler McKinley, and McKinley, and Jasper Johnson as well. Chad, you're
great time for Jasper Johnson to visit because Jasper Johnson and LeBaron Philon played for Team Thad in the EYBL this year, so those guys are pretty close. Tyler knows both of those guys, so they, from the looks of things, they spent a bunch of time together hanging out, especially on Saturday. I know they had practice Saturday afternoon that those guys got to watch, and then the tailgate and going in and checking out the pregame and the game and all that good stuff. Look, it's from everyone I talked to, it sounds Cincinnati was the first visit. It sounds super close. He's still going to visit Ole Miss, Alabama, and Kansas along with Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati's done a great job. If I had to handicap who I think might be the biggest threat, Ole Miss. I think, one of the guys that recruited him, he initially committed to Auburn.
Right.
One of the guys that heavily recruited him to Auburn is at Ole Miss. So he's got a relationship there that obviously he has been really comfortable with for a long time. And Chris Beard don't give a fuck. Like, he didn't care about the rules when there were rules.
Right.
So that is, look, I said in this day and age, I might be more worried about a list of Alabama, Ole Miss, and Kansas than I am if the kid had Kentucky, Duke, and North Carolina.
Right.
Like the game done changed some in that regard.
Yeah.
And those are guys, you're dealing with some dudes that'll do what they got to do. Nate Oates, Chris Beard, Bill Self. They will do what they got to do to get a job done. Now we're learning Les has that in him as well. That, okay, like these are the rules. This is what my parameters are. Let's go. But the Bear Phylon is going to be a battle because that is not the group. You do all your work and you get it down to the brass tacks, and those are the four. Like, all right, buckle up your safety belt.
Right.
Turbulence is coming. Like you're gonna have to dodge a lot of bullets to get to the finish line here. But so far, everything I've heard is the visit was outstanding. Really love the atmosphere. Love being around, Jasper and Tyler for the weekend. So we'll see. I know hopefully Keegan will have something on that here shortly, but that Cincinnati's got their hat in the mix. If you would have told me 2 months ago that they were this deep in the LeBaron Phylon thing, I would have said, man, they made up a lot of ground.
Right.
So they've made up a lot of ground. Sometimes it's nice to be the team with momentum.
Yeah.
The team that's kind of charging late. So we'll see.
I'll tell you what, staff decked out in Jordan and looking fresh, very fresh. And also shouts to Zach Stipe as well. He was rocking the Jordan ones.
Thank you.
Yeah, those are nice. But it can also be under stressed how awesome it was to see Jasper Johnson there as well. Obviously a 5-star and in class 2025, but
he might. I might be going out on a limb here, Brent.
Yeah,
he might be the best player they're involved with.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that.
I mean,
yeah.
You talk about a microwave that can impact the game. I saw him score 12 points in like 90 seconds.
There you go. I mean,
3 threes and an and one in 90 seconds, and deep threes, not like just common standard every day, like hit a three, like just bang, 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 bang. And it took a close game to a blowout in like 2 minutes.
Yep.
Like he is electric.
He's got legit size too, not bulk, but he's tall. He looks every bit of the
for a shooting guard, scoring guard. He's in that 6'4", 6'5" range.
Yeah,
and he's still young. Like, might have another inch or two in him.
Right. And obviously having McKinley there too is nothing but a resounding applaud. Obviously, the connection is Link prep down there. Obviously, McKinley coming back to Cincinnati for his senior year, but still probably knows them pretty well through Link and the circuit and whatnot. Another name that
go to Link together. They don't know each other through Link.
Well, no, I'm sure when he said I'm transferring to Link, they maybe hit him up and he was like, "Well, I'm not going to be there." So, but still, good to link up with you. I don't know.
Yeah,
I know they didn't play together.
I think that's probably overstated by some, but
well, I mean, it's a Link.
It's prep school basketball. Like it's
Right.
transient. Like nobody.
Right. I agree.
Now maybe they talked about it this weekend. Like it was
Yeah.
a common thing to connect on, as they're both on campus and
They looked like they were buddies from what it gathered, but
yeah, I mean they looked like they were having a good time from afar.
Yeah, it did. And then obviously another name and Jasper was on an unofficial, right?
Yeah, the only official was
Violent. Okay, and then obviously 2026 wing from Kentucky, Gabe Weiss was on an unofficial visit as well. He's a guy that will be rated very highly when those ratings come out. But
I've heard good things. I haven't seen him, but I've heard good things.
Yet again, another highly rated recruit that Wes and the staff is in early on. So cool to get him on campus as well.
Absolutely.
But as far as team stuff goes, I heard the fans were in awe of how tall Sage Tolentino looks and how
he's tall.
How big some of the other big men are. So, but obviously, as we saw last night with in that North Carolina game or 2 nights ago, Tez Walker didn't play. He's still in the appeal process. I think some people were erring on the side of the 2-time transfer. Just play him and just say screw it and figure it out later. So that's going to be an ongoing thing. There's no update there, but we'll see. Anything else, or shall we mailbag it up?
No, let's mailbag it up real quick. Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. Quick Paper services over 150,000 restaurants with weekly low minimum next-day deliveries, providing a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases. And now, for the time being, the mailbag brought to you by Home Field Apparel. Home Field's can't-miss kickoff here to make sure you are ready for the 2023 football season in style. Go to homefieldapparel.com. Check out the Cincinnati collection. Promo code BCJ23. You get 15% off your first order.
All right. I'm going to see. Hopefully, I can get through most of this mailbag without coughing too much on the mic. I will be doing my best.
You're okay, Aaron. You're having a great flu game, Aaron.
I'm doing something. Thankfully, the mailbag isn't super full tonight. So, starting off here, how would you tier the Big 12 teams after week 1? I think like title contenders, title pretenders, spoilers. Thanks for participating. Might go defeated in conference. Some tiers do not have to have teams in it.
I don't think we've seen enough yet.
Right.
Really? I mean, I think pretty comfortably right now, like Kansas State, Oklahoma, and Texas.
Yeah. Upper tier.
I don't know. Like, Brent, you want to tackle this with yours?
Yeah. I mean, I
think it's too early to ask.
I think overall the Big 12 was underwhelming in week 1. I mean, it's always hard to win in Laramie, but Texas Tech looked like crap for the.
I specifically did not include them in a parlay because I was like, I just see them completely messing this up.
I mean, they were up 17-0 in the first quarter, and then just like forgot how to play football. It was
weird.
Obviously, this is when I was going to mention we were going to talk about.
They scored 3 points the rest of the game. They scored the rest of regulation.
Right.
Regulation,
And then you score in the second overtime, and all you got to do is get one stop on defense, and it was just like an easy touchdown. They were just very disappointing in them, especially because a lot of people were very high on them. And then what the heck happened with Baylor?
Woof.
Apparently they're not good.
Texas State? I mean, come on.
At home, at Baylor,
and Texas State controlled that entire game.
Yeah.
There was never really a point that Baylor had controlled in that game.
Right. So I think
one thing, I get it. You open the season, you start a little slow. but you're playing Texas State. Like you pick it back up and you get the job done
Right.
over 4 quarters. That never happened.
No.
Sorry, Aaron.
Don't make me laugh. You're gonna make me cough. We're gonna have this back and forth like a tennis match.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
Oh man. I mean, Deion Sanders. That whole thing going on in Colorado is just insane. Obviously, that's some big time players there.
I don't even know what happened.
What does that have to do with the Big 12 Week 1?
Well, because they played TCU. I get what he's saying.
Oh, relax, guys. I mean, TCU looked like they were.
I defended you.
Thank you.
TCU's defense looked like trash. They looked like a team coached by Sonny Dykes. They did not look like that last year. They had a lot of guys from the previous regime that were still in the fold. Saturday, they looked like a team coached by Sonny Dykes that we have seen coach for 3 years or whatever, however long he was at SMU.
I will say TCU and Colorado are that game alone was a glaring example of why preseason polls are for idiots, and there should not be preseason polls ever again. They're so stupid.
Are they ignorant? Are they stupid? Yes. You know what people do? They
tune in because
they click them. They love them.
It's so stupid.
So it's like mock drafts and every other stupid thing we do right now. Clicks equal dollars. Dollars equal we're going to do this because it equals dollars.
I'm still allowed to hate it, regardless.
That's fair. I'm just telling you why they do it.
I think BYU over Sam Houston was maybe the most underwhelming as far as the team that won at 14-0, hosting Sam Houston in Provo, where there's literally nothing else to do.
I mean, that was yuck. I mean, and I bet on the Cougars too, man. They're just yuck. But I mean, that was just Saturday night, late night, just throwing darts at the wall and seeing if one of them hits. But yeah, I mean, they were very underwhelming. I mean, they won 14-0, and then they're hyping up like first shutout since this. Like, we shut them out.
You got lucky you shut them out, because if you didn't,
yeah, it'd be a tough game. I mean, TCU got shredded by Sean Lewis. Like, there's no other way to put it. So I think you saw a lot of things there where get the ball to your playmakers and let them make moves.
Yeah,
I think a lot of teams are going to be able to exploit that with TCU. And
apparently, teams from Iowa can only play defense; they can't play offense.
Well, there's a lot of things going on at Iowa State. I actually was surprised with how well Iowa State played. They were only 7-point favorites against. No, they're 7-point favorites against Northern Iowa, which is like
look at what their offense did, though.
I agree, but
they got a pick six. Yeah. Like that's what I'm saying. They looked an awful lot like Iowa.
True. Yeah,
their offense was trash. Like if you look, I think Northern Iowa had the leader in passing, rushing, and receiving yards on the game.
They did.
All right.
Like Iowa State did not move the ball at all.
No.
So to round out this question and try and give some semblance of an answer, if we were to say who are the title contenders based on this week alone, not based on preseason, not based on rankings.
Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas State.
Yeah. Kansas State looked damn good.
Kansas State's going to be a problem.
35-0 at half.
Texas beat Rice 37-10.
Yeah, but
at home.
They didn't really do much. It was like more of like we have Alabama.
I'm gonna put Texas a title pretender.
They were like, we have
Alabama. They got Alabama next week. We'll find out.
So we're not gonna expose too much. We have Alabama next week.
Ryan, anything to add on those three teams?
I agree with you guys. I also didn't pay too much attention to anything other than the Bearcats.
Ryan was just excited to see Butch Jones.
All right. Any other title pretenders in the mix?
TCU.
They
were in there last. Baylor, pretender.
Yeah.
I don't even know that I think they're going to be more thanks for participating, right? Baylor.
Maybe unless they can bounce back significantly. because they got a defensive-minded head coach whose team didn't look like they could play a lick of defense.
They might go defeated in conference.
Utah. They play Utah this week. It's like,
I'll put, I don't know. I'll put BYU in spoilers. I'll put Oklahoma State in spoilers. I'll put Houston in thanks for participating. I don't believe in any of these teams. Not yet.
I don't think I'd put BYU or Oklahoma State in spoilers after their week 1 performance. We're basing this off week 1.
I mean, Houston looked better than BYU and OK State.
I can't drop them to thanks for participating though. You think it's that bad?
We're basing this strictly off of week 1.
Oklahoma looked really good.
Week 1, like that. So you're caught up in preseason rankings, Aaron.
That's why I put Texas in my title pretenders. Anyway, we're moving on. All right. Do you think the Navy Air Force game will have a lower over-under than Iowa State?
It might should. Well, no, because both of those defenses can get buckets. Like those defenses can score, and those offenses are so bad. We might have 4 or 5 defensive touchdowns in Iowa State.
Yeah. I mean, what was it? The Army Navy 16 straight years. It was the under.
Yeah.
And then this past year, the overhit. I mean, watching Navy play Notre Dame, I don't even know if Navy is like they look bad. They look pretty doggone bad.
They're down bad.
Yeah. I would say the Iowas over.
Yeah. Just because the defenses can score.
Yeah.
Both of those defenses are so good. The offenses might not score in that game, and they'll still hit the over.
Well, and because Brian Ferentz has to meet his quota, or else he's fired. So he might be trying really hard to score.
What, 27 a game? Is that what it was?
Yeah, something like that.
27 a game.
I'll side with the guy who bets more in a weekend than I do in a year.
Oh, thank you, Aaron.
He's like, I do. You're right. I do.
Join the dark side, Aaron.
I can't afford to.
It is just so funny. You bet so much over the entire weekend, and then it like ends up like I was up like $140. It's just like, wow, that was a wild roller coaster ride. I'll tell you what.
Aaron's like, I was up $18.73 this weekend. Yes, nailed it.
It's close to accurate.
That $1 parlay hit. I was pumped.
All right. Does giving up 300 plus yards to EKU concern anyone? Seemed like our playmakers were often out of position, and some of the tackling could have been sharper. Chad did say the defensive philosophy under Brown generally is more negative plays with the trade-off of giving up a few additional bigger plays, but just haven't seen anyone except Kerry really discuss the defense.
Ryan?
It felt like a quiet 300 though, because I felt like our defense, like I thought it
really
played
spread out.
Yeah, I thought it played really well. Besides those big runs, but we kind of broke those down earlier. But I think we didn't get exposed to any like 12 personnel, like we said. There was mainly 11P, and the broadcaster was kind of breaking down that EKU just didn't have any tight ends, and I think Pitt's going to have tight ends, and they're going to want to run the ball. Yeah,
13 personnel. Can you do 14? They get a 14. You're going to 14.
I'm nervous about a little bit of Alabama syndrome, but obviously Pitt isn't as good as Alabama. But kind of how Alabama said, we just want to run the ball. And Indiana last year, if you remember that game, the first half when they were just chewing through us, just 12 personnel running the ball downhill.
Well, no, the Indiana game dominated the first half. It was the second half when they started to come back.
Which one was it? Yeah.
Indiana, the second half, they ran right at UC and got back in the game.
Or maybe are you thinking the Indiana of 2 years ago? That first
2
half
years ago
was all
when I was on
Indiana.
the team. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah.
When I was on the team.
How do you not remember the difference between when you were on the team and when you were not on the team?
Dude, it's an adjustment because I've been saying last year. I've been saying last year for a whole year, so I have to remember it's 2 years now. My old ass.
Yeah. Now you're getting old.
Yeah. No, but I think our playmakers are going to win us the game next week. If we win the game, it's going to be because of our playmakers on defense.
defense.
Yeah, in terms of like it's going to be because
Pace
Juwan,
and
Dante,
Juwan,
Pace, Greshik, like those guys are. Yeah, we're going to need all those guys to step up big time, and the linebackers are going to have to play a lot better. But
yeah,
I
agree.
I guess the quiet 300 though, it doesn't concern me. I don't think it really impacts anything going forward. I thought they played well.
And that's a good offense. Like their defense is, as you called it, trash. But
yeah,
EKU's offense, like they have a quarterback that's going to play in the NFL.
Yeah, he'll be
a backup. He's not going to be an NFL starter, but he's going to be like on a practice squad, or like he's going to find himself carve out a niche in the NFL.
Yeah.
He's at the Manning Passing Academy. He's got an invite to the Senior Bowl. Yeah,
it's good.
All right. If we go undefeated at Nippert this year, how mad are people going to be retrospectively at the Tulane loss last year?
If people are still mad about last year, then
I'm not going to think about last year. If we go
it's
undefeated
what are we doing?
at home this year.
What are we doing?
He's just referencing the streak, obviously. But
sure. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Every new streak started somewhere.
That game sucked. But yeah.
It was bad. It was bad. I don't think I've thought about it since then. This is the first time I've thought about that game since then.
I have nightmares about it.
That's the football portion of the mailbag, and also the basketball portion of the mailbag.
Oh,
moving
right around the corner.
Moving on to the Banks portion of the mailbag. I admit I don't follow this aspect fully. Has the current contingent of the Big 12 that beginning next year signed a GOR? I don't know the answer to that.
I believe they signed one with the new TV deal. Like that's all part of
the
the TV deal. Like everybody agrees when the TV deal is signed that the GOR continues or whatever. Yeah.
The grant of rights. All right. And the last question in the mailbag here from Skins, of course. Almost missed this week. Rapid fire. Favorite backyard barbecue food? I'm going to go cheeseburger. Classic.
Does that count?
Yeah. I mean, it's barbecue. Yeah, backyard barbecue. Not like barbecue like smoked meats,
sauce.
Like barbecue, like Labor Day when you're having a barbecue.
Picnic, yeah.
Like picnic.
I'm cheeseburger. I'm cheeseburger gang.
Grill out. It'll be a grill out.
Yeah. Burger gang, me and Aaron. Let's go.
I'm with you on burgers. Like I prefer. I don't mind a good like brat or a met or like.
I feel like those are fillers though, right? Like you eat those.
Right. Like I get a burger and then I also get a hot dog to go with it.
Yeah.
But you're not worried. Like that's not the focus of your plate. The focus of your plate is the burger.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not a big.
You know what you end up doing in that situation, Aaron? You eat the hot dog like an appetizer, right? Like you're like, all right, let me rip this hot dog apart before I tear into this burger.
Just slide that glizzy down and then roll right into the burger. Yeah, for sure. I'm burger with you. Cheese, need the cheeseburger.
Absolutely,
And Aaron, you're a big smash burger guy these days, so
I made them tonight.
If you got a Blackstone, I'll take a smash burger. But
don't try a flat top. Don't try a smash burger on the grill.
What about sides real fast? Sides for a grill out.
I thought he said size.
I'm not certain he doesn't.
Size. You can't have any burger bigger than 4 ounces. That's the key.
Sides.
Let's talk about that
sides. Barbecue sides, like a good corn on the cob.
Okay.
Love a good refreshing corn on the cob.
Right. Potato salad, coleslaw,
pasta salad.
Look, man, if it's hot out, I don't want potatoes with mayonnaise.
Yeah.
I'm not a potato salad.
That's why I'm down. That's why I'm down with the pasta salad, like the cold pasta salad with the Italian and
way better than potato salad.
Maybe like some watermelon.
Ooh,
Hey,
I love
like
watermelon.
here's my thing on potato salad. If anybody said it this way, hey, anybody want me to make some potatoes and put some mayonnaise on them? No, I don't want you to do that.
Chad, have you been to Arnold's downtown? Have
Yeah.
you had their potato salad?
No, because I
Pretty
don't
good.
like potato salad.
It's pretty good. You should give it a try.
I mean,
Most-
I'm not.
Most
I'm
potato
sure there
salad
is
has
potato
onions
salad.
in it, right?
Yeah,
Onions.
And Chad's got
Doesn't
an
have
onion.
celery in it. Doesn't have.
Chad's got an
celery
onion
somehow?
issue, and that's
I
a whole
can't
nother
eat fresh
thing.
onions. I will throw up right on the
Jason,
spot.
Jason's
You can't
Salon's
eat
bringing
cooked onions.
the Polish food full circle.
Kielbasa.
We talked pierogies earlier. Now he's talking about a good kielbasa, man. I agree, Jason.
Here's the
Kielbasa.
problem, Daryl, with ribs. Daryl says ribs. If I'm at your house, I don't know that I trust. Like, I'll try your ribs. I don't know if I trust you to make ribs to the point that I will pick that over a burger.
All right.
Ribs are tough, man. Like, you got to be good. You got to know your shit to get ribs right.
I also prefer them on a smoker to a grill, personally.
Yeah, well, yeah, good ribs you have to smoke. Like, don't serve me some ribs that have been sitting on your grill for 20 minutes.
Burrito or enchilada? I'm going to say chimichanga. Chimichanga. Throw that burrito in a deep fryer.
I'm going to go enchilada, but I prefer Hatch green chili, like green enchilada sauce, as opposed to the traditional red enchilada sauce.
I think I'm gonna go enchilada. I mean, I feel like burrito is too broad though. Like,
enchilada's broad if you know what you're doing.
Like, what's the burrito? What is the burrito? What is the comparison? Like, just like
an enchilada is just a burrito with like sauce on it, essentially.
But it has like the kind of
a corn
sauce
tortilla
inside of it, kind of. You know, it's almost like some enchiladas.
No,
have
it has sauce on top of it. Enchiladas have sauce on top.
I've had some that kind of have like a creamy filling with the chicken almost.
Yeah, I mean, you can mix the chicken into it, but that's not that's an American enchilada.
Yeah, I got you.
You think there's Mexicans that are like, let's put some cream cheese in the enchiladas? No, that's not how they do shit.
Clip that.
No. There's one time every show.
I did that in a Texas accent. Like, that was Tex-Mex.
All right. Kick, save, and a butte. All right.
Chewies. That was.
Oh,
mole sauce. Now, I'll mess with a good mole sauce, Jeffrey.
Brent, what you got on burrito or enchilada?
I mean, if I'm going to Taco Bell, give me burritos. But if I'm going to a Mexican restaurant, I'd go the enchilada route.
All right. Neil deGrasse Tyson or Bill Nye? I'm out on both of them. They're so full of shit.
I don't really like either, but I'll go Bill Nye.
They're both the biggest cornballs ever. But I'm going Tyson. But I'm starting to get out on him lately. He's just
I don't like either. Really,
they're just trying to con me into these discussions. I see what you're doing, Skins.
Yeah, he's trying to get you on the put your aluminum hat on.
I'm not doing it.
I mean,
I lost respect for Tyson in the last 2 years. I used to really like him, but then
I grew up when I was a kid. Bill Nye the Science Guy was like a thing. Like, that was a thing.
Yeah.
And then he turned into this puppet, and I was like,
now he's kind of come back to being the normal one compared to Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah,
so they're both fucking weird.
Completely lost their way.
Jason says he's a Stephen Hawking guy. I agree.
He's no longer with us. Brent, what you got?
I will only say one thing because I don't really get into this crazy stuff, but there was no greater thrill than when you would walk into science class back in 5th grade, 4th grade, and you just saw the TV there, and you knew we're about to watch a little Bill Nye the Science Guy. So I'll go Bill Nye. Bill.
Science rules.
So,
follow-up question: if you ran a food truck, what theme or food style would it have? Chad, we'll start with you because I know you've given this thought, and you're not going to have to think about this one.
Sandwiches, like a mix of Philly cheesesteak, Cuban, Italian, like the world's
Simple.
famous sandwiches I would serve out of my food truck.
Great
Would
idea.
they have
Sandwiches around the world.
Would they have
They
chips
sound
on
good.
them, or would they just be sandwiches?
Just sandwiches. I don't. Why?
Okay.
I mean, like if you want
Well,
chips with them, you can put the
Look,
chips on yourself.
some people do the sand chipwich. I'm just saying.
No, but I'm talking the classics, Aaron. I'm talking like an Italian sub, a Cuban with the authentic pressed Cuban bread. Like
So no cold whatsoever. No
No,
cold sandwich.
I don't think there's a cold sandwich that the club maybe like I guess a club you could.
Yeah, or a Reuben.
That's a hot one though.
Rubens are
Reuben
generally
hot,
hot.
Yeah, my bad.
So yeah.
What is it? What is the one of the cold deli ones? What am I thinking of?
A cold cut trio.
Pastrami.
A pastrami sandwich, yeah.
Yeah.
You can have hot or cold pastrami.
Yeah, there's a mix on those.
A muffaletta. That's normally cold. But yeah. Aaron, what are you doing food truck wise?
I'd probably go some type of Tex-Mex. That's my favorite thing to make on the Blackstone, just because it's the easiest, generally speaking. Like ingredients are easy to make, sauces are easy to make in bulk. Like you can make them in a blender and they hold for a week, and everybody loves them, so they go quick.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. But that's probably what I would do.
Here's the problem there. No. I love the idea. Here's the problem with that.
He flew in for this.
There's actual people from Mexico that have taco and like food trucks that are.
Look, I'm never opening
the best Mexican food.
I'm also never opening up a food truck. They just asked a question and I answered.
It's fair. I'm just saying, like, if you got in your business plan, you have to assume the best tacos I've ever had have come from taco trucks, and I didn't see anybody look like you that worked there.
Look, I'm mostly German as my background, and I think I'd rank German food as maybe like my eighth favorite. So I don't know what you want from me here.
I'm gonna go with Chad, but I might take a couple sandwiches off the menu to replace it with like 1 or 2 burgers, like smash burgers.
Okay.
Because I think you'll have that hot, like the hot grill.
Yeah.
The flat grill, you can use it for smash burgers and chop up all those sandwiches.
Well, here's the thing, like about most of those sandwiches is the food has to be done in advance.
Yeah.
Like if you do a Cuban, you have to have that done. Like if you do, like the pork has to already be done. If you do an Italian, you might heat them up, but the meat's already cured and smoked and cut. Right.
Yeah.
So your grill would be potentially open, and ultimately a burger is the great American sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chad, have you ever had a chopped cheese?
Oh yeah.
What is What is your like dilemma on them versus the cheesesteak?
The Philly cheese.
I mean, it's ground beef instead of ribeye, like sliced ribeye. Yeah. So it's completely different, like a completely different method to the madness.
Because it's New York versus Philly.
Yeah, the other thing is like with the chopped cheese, like they don't like the bread is what makes a Philly cheese. If you've had a real Philly cheesesteak, that bread is maybe my favorite bread in the world.
What's your favorite Philly? Locally.
There's not any.
There's nothing anything worth.
There's nothing that compares to like a Philly. Like I mean, I go to Penn Station. Like the Penn Station in Kenwood is outstanding. I don't like most Penn stations.
You guys have a Capriati's there?
No,
they've got a good Philly.
There's I mean, Jersey Mike's has an okay, like it's
right.
solid.
Right.
But the problem here is you can't get the bread.
Yeah.
Nobody has the bread. And like if you've been to Philly, it's the bread that makes it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's got just that little bit of like crunch on top, but it's so soft.
Kind of like
absorbs all the grease from the steak, huh?
Is it like Penn Station? I feel like tries to do that a little bit.
They try, but it's not the same. It's not. They don't. You know.
They're
It's
pretenders.
a Cincinnati company.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, Penn Station's a Cincinnati company.
Wow.
You thought it was from Philly?
I thought it was formed in Penn Station itself.
They say they're East Coast subs. Maybe it was on the East Coast.
Cincinnati. Cincinnati.
You know everything about food, Chad.
I know a lot about food, right?
You
The
ever thought about
foodie.
doing like a food side gig?
It's the foodie.
Yes. I tried to drag my daughter into a food side gig that I think if she would have participated and been willing by now, we would be running a million
TikTok?
follower TikTok channel.
Yes, TikTok.
It had some traction.
It had traction right away. It's called Brendel's Bites. We even did an episode with Brady Collins at Midwest Barbecue up in.
That's where I got the chicken parm sandwich from you from the closed down place.
Yeah, Bread Bar.
Bread Bar, yeah.
Yep.
All right, Brent, what you got on this food truck, and then we'll get
Hey,
outta
you know
here.
what? I'd probably do some sort of alcohol. I think. I don't know.
That's not how food trucks work, bro. You can't just drive around with a truck full of booze. That's not how.
Is that a thing?
Works,
Can
man.
you do that? Like a bar?
There are state regulations against that in every state in the union.
He's out here running an ice cream truck selling weed out the back.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, shoot, dude. I don't know.
You got Smokey's money.
Pizza by the slice. I don't know. I'm a good baker. Maybe some sweets. I don't know. But because
you're gonna run an ice cream truck, aren't you?
Because I'm trying to shy away because I love the sandwich idea because I love sandwiches and
I'm a sandwich guy.
That's something
I love
to really hop on. But I mean maybe pizza, but I feel like that'd be kind of hard.
God, I can't picture him in some type of good humor apron now. Just
No
smiling. So, kids, how are we?
How are we?
No, it was funny. There's this place called Bub's Burgers and Ice Cream, and I was a server there in college, and they had a little ice cream parlor thing, and I had to work some ice cream shifts, so I would be serving ice cream to the
How
faithful.
are we?
I'm here for it. Brett, get us out of here, man.
Chad,
All right.
I need you to send me a sandwich list.
Oh, I like this.
Okay.
I'm obsessed with this right now.
There we
I
go.
love sandwiches. I love sandwiches. It's my jam.
Royer's just gonna be hammering sandwiches left and right.
Please.
Can't wait. All right, guys. Anything else before we shut this one down?
Beat Pitt.
Eat shit, Pitt.
Huge game. Huge game.
Sweet Caroline. Eat shit, Pitt. Dun, dun, dun.
Ooh. Well, it's a massive game this Saturday. Obviously, we are going to continue to dive in completely
We'll
on
crush
the
it
game
all week at Bearcat Journal.
all week.
Audio
all
content, video content, written content, short form content, long form content. We're a content.
Oh, wait.
company.
I had one question since we skipped over my question thing. I think it's a good one. Make it quick, though.
Yeah.
Emory Jones over under 75% of this past week's production versus Pitt.
Under.
That's
a really good deep. You're going to have to grind this game out.
Okay.
I could see him going 250 and 2 tuds, and then a little bit more with his legs.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll have a good game, but this was he had one of the 5 or 10 best quarterback days in the entire country.
Right.
Pitt's defense isn't going to allow that.
If he hits 76%, we win. So
and also I think this is going to be the first game that Bearcat fans see the new clock change effect.
Yeah.
And
did I tell you what the people were asking for, Brent? They want you to write the content that you used to write, and then instead of publishing it, read it on the show as a reaction to your 400-word paragraph on the prediction article.
okay. I'm not sure what that means, but there we go.
Dude, everybody wrote a paragraph. You wrote 400 words.
Hey, it was good. If you reread it, it was pretty damn good.
I'm gonna say over on Emory Jones, Ryan, because
I love
until
it.
I haven't seen it, show me you can't do it.
Oh yeah, Emory for Heisman, love him. Gosh, Love it. Love it. Bearcat football's back. Huge game this weekend, though. Huge game on the CW, if you are not there in person. Holy Grail. Head to the Holy Grail to watch it if you're staying in Cincy. If you're heading to the Arcashire, whatever it's called.
Heinz Field.
The OK
Yeah.
Shore, the OK Shore Field.
Acrisure Stadium.
Okay, sure.
6:30 p.m. kickoff. Massive game, but a huge opening
Pitt's
win
8 points better than Cincinnati. Okay, sure.
at the OK Share Stadium. But
Emory Jones, 76%. Okay, sure.
Okay, sure. I'll take the over. Okay, sure. But yeah, massive game, big win, week 1. But from my guys, my pals, my partners, big thanks, big shouts, of course, on home field to Danco Transmission and Auto Care, to Quick Paper Supply. Love all you guys. But for Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, Ryan Royer, I am Brent Young. Yet again, another fantastic BVP presented by BearcatJournal.com.
See ya.